Hello, hello. Welcome to Siege Pleasure Brews. I'm Tim. Tonight I'm joined by my friends Squirrelmob and Cricket, and we are going to do a quick little question from our Max Power Fundamentals Ask a CH Player questionnaire. And tonight's question is getting infinite mana really that helpful? So, James, would you like to start?
Yeah. So I think this question is a question that is less about actually the question that's being asked and is more about a different question, which is how do you utilize what your deck can do, right? So to answer the question that's asked, is getting infinite mana really that helpful? Not unless you can do anything with it. But why are you getting infinite mana in a deck that can't do anything with it? So this brings up a really important point of when you build your deck, you have to keep in mind what your combos are and what your outlets are. This is something that we see with a lot of generals, right? A lot of generals that get chosen for certain reasons. And many of them, it's either because they enable a combo or they are an outlet for a combo.
Outlet for the combo.
Mm-hmm. So take, for example, Thrasios, right? Super common general, super powerful general. Why? Because there's about 1 million ways to get infinite mana. It's really, really easy to do. And Thrasios gives you something to do with it. So, does infinite mana do anything by itself? No.
Yeah.
Does infinite mana win you the game potentially? If you intend it to do so.
If your deck is constructed in a manner to do so. And Cricket, you got any thoughts on that, good sir?
Yeah, so the opposite of that is, would it be useful in a deck like Kess, where you don't have an outlet in the command zone, and 99% of the time, you're not running any outlets in the deck at all? But I think what people tend to think is like, well, mana's good, right? And the more mana I have, the better, right? But you almost get to a point where it's like, yes, more mana is good, but infinite mana doesn't help you because you're just wasting it. Whereas maybe if you had just a couple of rituals in, that would more than serve your purposes, and you're not struggling to get this combo together when you could be getting together your actual win con for the deck.
Right.
So it's really commander is dependent and it's deck dependent too. Like it's not an easy answer. Like, yes, it's good. No, it's bad.
Mm-hmm. Right. And so think about like with deck construction, the card Dramatic Reversal, right?
Right.
A lot of times you see Dramatic Reversal specifically with Isochron Scepter.
Yep.
Why? Because you have 3 colorless mana and suddenly you've got infinite colorless mana.
Right.
But again, if your deck isn't constructed to use it, well, then who cares?
Yeah.
But Dramatic Reversal by itself, as Cricket was getting at, is a perfectly legitimate ritual.
Yes, it
For
is.
1 and a blue, you could potentially be plus 5 or 6 mana depending on what rocks and dorks you have.
Right. So, I got, my take's pretty similar to your guys's. It's just maybe, slightly verbiage different. So, infinite mana in and of itself is good, but isn't the end-all, be-all. Even if you don't make infinite mana, but you can make large, excessive quantities of mana, maybe you can't make infinite, but you can generate 12 mana off of a dockside, or manually casting a Dramatic Reversal will give you 9 mana. That gives you so what you need to be able to do, one of the things with CH decks is you need to be able to, like they pointed out, is you need to be able to convert that into cards. So the thing is you input mana into your deck, like fast mana acceleration, to give you velocity to convert into cards, and then by converting those cards into more mana to convert into more cards, and then it builds and kind of snowballs.
Mm-hmm.
And as you kind of progress down that chain, and usually you're progressing that input of mana, output of cards, into input of mana into output of cards via avenues like Breach, Thrasios, Kenrith, Ad Nauseam, Yep. I've even there's been the olden days where we would do like Windfall Notion Thief, where we
What do you
would.
mean olden days? I still do that.
That was like I literally had a win conless Kess deck that did not have Labman in it that would win off of like drawing, or it wasn't Kess, it was Tim Necrom, and you would cast an Angel's Grace and then just a big ass Windfall, bounce the Labman, and then draw everybody out because you drew like 60 cards or something. But and the point was, it is you that input has to go to somewhere, and then that output has to be able to, like, you're essentially kind of like converting one resource into another, back into another, to kind of snake your way along to your win, or to a point where you can get to an end state of either drawing your opponents out, milling them out, consulting them out, making a bunch of big dudes. Like in mono green, like Silvala, there's a lot of loops with like a Shia where you can bounce the Quarian Ranger over and over again to keep untapping Silvala to generate cards or mana, but then you have to convert that into cards somehow.
And really with CDH, we're working on margins where realistically you want the amount of mana that you can use each turn. You want to be able to use all your mana, and you want to be able to actually have something positive to do with it.
Right.
Now that could mean, right, that doesn't just mean you're only doing things that are proactive. That can also mean having mana up to play a counter spell. It can also sometimes mean having the extra like 2 to pay for a spell pierce or whatever. That's still a use for your mana.
Right.
But when you have an infinite generator to just for the purpose of making infinite, you want to have a purpose of why you're doing that, right? And some decks don't have the infinite outlet in the command zone. Like Kinnan has a couple ways to make infinite colorless pretty easily, but Kinnan doesn't actually turn infinite colorless into anything. So it has to run 4 or 5 different outlets in the deck, but it runs them, right? Because it knows that it's built around making infinite mana.
Right.
So it needs to be able to have the ways to use it.
Yeah. Convert that input into different types of velocity. Yep. All right. Anything else we want to share on that question, or shall we call it good?
That's good.
All right. Thanks again for watching. Have a good night.